Hello and welcome. You're watching Melt. I'm Ritvika, and on the show today we'll be bringing you some highlights from the largest festival held in the world, Kumbh Mela. In fact, Anant was there at Kumbh this year. Anant, it's been a month since the festival got over. So why are we talking about it on Melt now?
We decided that because it's the largest gathering of human beings anywhere in the world, we'll do a deep dive and try and understand how brands and consumers interact at Kumbh. So along with our crew and along with some wonderful colleagues from Group M and Ogilvy, and made possible because of support from Laksha Media, we decided to do a comprehensive understanding of how consumers and brands behave at Kumbh. And because it's so deep, it's taken us time to edit, it's taken us time to put together. And in fact, what you're going to see on air is only a little bit of all the material we have. So later at Melt on 30th of May, we will be showing you the full documentary on how brands interact. We'll also have a panel to discuss opportunities at Kumbh. We'll also have hopefully an audience that wants answers.
Great. So I can't wait for viewers to see what we have in store. Have a look at the Kumbh Mela story.
The holy dip, Naga sadhus, and lots of people. These words and visuals have come to define what the Kumbh Mela is all about, and this year was no different. Stretching over 50 days, starting 15 January 2019 till 4th March 2019, Prayagraj in Uttar Pradesh transformed itself to play host to the Ardh Kumbh Mela. According to the state government, the Mela was attended by 15 crore or 150 million pilgrims, a number that has led the media to christen the event the largest peaceful gathering of people in the world. It's no wonder then that the Uttar Pradesh government allocated upwards of 4,200 crore rupees towards organizing the event. The budget was over thrice the budget of the Mahakumbh in 2013, making the mega pilgrimage the costliest ever. The budget enabled the setup of a mini-city in the designated 3,200 hectares of land and ensured that Prayagraj itself received an infrastructure lift. The city's 9 railway stations, its arterial roads and prominent building facades were overhauled. All this effort had a singular focus: to enhance the facilities for the public and establish facilities at the ground level to keep the event safe and hygienic.
Challenges accordingly just are parallel and as grand as the Kumbh, because we have to cope up with the population of around 10 million people, pilgrims who come just on their own without an invitation, just to meet and have a holy dip. The biggest challenge was one, proper traffic management, two, about waste management, how much quickly we can keep the city clean and defecation free. These were the two most important things, and apart from that, yes, when pilgrims are coming, where will they stay, and what all facilities they'll be getting, and how much comfortable and at ease they can do this. They will do this yatra for sure to make it memorable for them. That was a real challenge.
The number of people present at the Kumbh Mela didn't go unnoticed by corporates and brands. Be it traditional mass media advertising through hoardings, interactive kiosks and merchandise, to quirky brand activations that aim to generate positive word of mouth by providing solutions to the pain points of the pilgrims, several brands, from the country's largest spenders to the hyper-local, were visible at the Kumbh Mela, all with an intention to get noticed.
The Kumbh sort of is our Super Bowl. It's enormously bigger in terms of the numbers than anything else in the country, and it often ends up being a conversation about the number of people that you can reach at the Kumbh, and naturally that is what attracts any brand or any marketing activity that is focused on the Kumbh.
Such type of events are organized all over India. Maybe scale may differ. Kumbh is basically where a population equal to Delhi is there for 45 days. So you get Delhi market in a small geography of 10 by 10. So that is the opportunity.
We've not been part of any great fairs or religious pilgrimages and religious fairs till date. The brand has been focused in the south till about late last year. And when we were going north, Kumbh is a great opportunity for a brand to be present. It's something that we realized at the Kumbh, seeing the situation. So it's a very topical solution that we found.
However, the opportunity itself, the millions of pilgrims, could not be targeted like conventional city crowds. The majority of the pilgrims at the Kumbh are from the Hindi-speaking states and largely classified as SEC B or lower. Most pilgrims also have a laser-sharp focus of performing the holy dip, and hence, not only did brands have to tailor their communication, but they also had to find ways to help the Mela authorities help the pilgrims achieve their trip's purpose.
For any activity to be successful, the message needs to meet the context. You know, one thing we realized from our previous experiences and from other similar activities we've done is that the mindset of the visitor or the pilgrim at any of these festivals is what we must tap into, especially for something like the Kumbh, where there's so many people and there is a focused end point, that a lot of things in between become blind spots. And that is the challenge for a marketer, is to not become a blind spot in the devotee or the visitor's sort of focus on getting his end holy dip done or getting the visual of a idol done or whatever it may be.
It's good to find yourself, you're getting support from brands because you're doing so many things. So you get an extra effort coupled with your own efforts. So that's it. In that way, brands can do help a lot. And public, it just doesn't look like a sponsor, just a government program. It's good if the brands also come up. Brands do have a lot of role because people, they touch the people in some way or the other in their lives. And so if for the Kumbh, wherever it is, if they can make their Kumbh Yatra a bit more memorable, that would be wonderful.
This attempt at helping the pilgrims with daily challenges that they could face on their journey became the default objective for most of the brand activations at the Kumbh Mela. So while Hindustan Unilever's Lifebuoy helped with an activation that encouraged people to wash their hands before or after using public facilities, Dabur's toothpaste brand provided samples for pilgrims for daily use. Hindustan Unilever also joined hands with the authorities for a cleanliness drive to clear the huge amounts of litter in the water. The Swachhata Ki Savari, or the Journey of Cleanliness, involved partnering local boatmen and attaching nets on either side of the 100-odd boats that ferried pilgrims.
Our community ensures that each boatman tries to maintain cleanliness at the docks. The boatmen are instructed to tell passengers not to litter and to use dustbins. The community tries its best to keep the surroundings clean. Thanks to this initiative by Hindustan Unilever, our boats can now also pick up litter in the river while we ferry our passengers. It doesn't add a lot of weight and it's rather easy. Needless to say, it's a win-win situation for us.
Then there was an activation from laundry detergent brand Wheel that transformed an area in the mini-city into a cleaning station and doubled up as a fun activity for the pilgrims as well. Similar services were provided by RSPL's detergent brand Ghadi. Brands also saw an opportunity to provide some comfort to the pilgrims. An activation by Bajaj two-wheelers had 50 retrofitted Bajaj Platina bikes ferrying pilgrims across the mini-city, while ICICI Lombard distributed acupressure gloves that helped pilgrims get a little bit of exercise. And Muthoot Finance set up a custom cloakroom that allowed pilgrims to keep their possessions safe. And then there were brands that aimed to create a social change. HUL soap brand Hammam sponsored changing rooms and distributed waterproof saris to empower women pilgrims at the Kumbh Mela. These saris were coated with a chemical that made them waterproof and hence didn't let wet saris cling to the body.
Honestly, what we are able to do right now is, because of the time required to manufacture these saris and the sheer scale of Kumbh, we know that we are not going to be able to do a lot more. like we won't be able to touch, say, even say 20-30% of the crowd or a significant number. But what we can do is use this medium, use this entire thing to do a larger social call out, that the fact that the women feel uncomfortable is because they get stared at. That's the change we're trying to drive, that society needs to change its perception. It's essentially a part of the CSR. So we're not really hoping for any great brand numbers, because we're not selling the product here, nothing like that.
Colgate chose to use the Kumbh Mela as a sampling opportunity for its Ayurvedic toothpaste Colgate Swarna Ved Shakti. 3 crore mini tubes were distributed to pilgrims, and small stations were set up near tents that provided water and a place for pilgrims to brush their teeth. In addition, the brand also distributed ropes to groups of pilgrims that enabled them to remain together in the crowd, and also provided wristbands to children so that their contact information was readily available in case the child got lost. These activations were aided by hoardings and pamphlets. All in all, it was a huge exercise.
Making the Kumbh happen is an enormous exercise, and a lot of moving parts need to come together perfectly, because we are doing an activity for a limited period of time in addition to everything that we're doing at a national level across all our sub-brands at enormous scale. So our supply chain systems, our communication development, our logistics to make sure that everything is provided, massive number of samples, communication across highway pit stops, right down to the akharas, etc., the wet brushing stations. So huge number of touch points done for a very short period of time, but at very high scale, meant that a lot of people across functions were working together as a team very intensely, doing pilots, doing checks, making sure that there were no compromises on quality, on the effectiveness of what we were saying, and so a massive logistical exercise that went off fantastically smoothly for us, and we are feeling really good about how it all worked out. And not to speak of how the Kumbh itself was organized at such a large scale. Huge credit to the administrators for managing this seamlessly.
Food and beverage brands were present as well. Keeping close to its cleanliness drive, HUL's Brook Bond Red Label decided to reward pilgrims who brought in loose trash with tea. Nestle chose to set up shops in the Kumbh Mela market. Commerce catered to those who wanted variety in their food through its food court, while Amul had set up its own stalls.
So there was a e-tendering by the local Mela organizers. We participated and we got 32 stalls within Prayagraj. So that was the plan. Especially for the new product also, we got very good trial like Meetha Dahi. And the product branding also is a very good opportunity. Because when consumers see every 10 meter, 20 meter Amul stalls or Amul brand, it creates good image.
Where there are people, brands will come. A popular adage that certainly rang true at the Kumbh Mela. But tailoring the brand, its communication, and how it behaved at the world's largest gathering of pilgrims proved to be the big challenge.
And that was our Kumbh Mela story. Anant, a gathering like this, as big as Kumbh Mela, it's a huge opportunity for brands to reach out to consumers and really create awareness. But what do you think brands need to keep in mind when they're marketing in an event as big as Kumbh Mela?
A simple lesson is the lesson from R.S. Sodhi from Amul. To do well at Kumbh, you have to know Kumbh well. It can't be done by armchair marketing, where you're sitting in Bombay or Bangalore or Gurgaon and decide this is what the consumer wants. You've got to know the consumer, you've got to know what he or she wants, and plan your strategy accordingly.
We are now going to be speaking to VR Rajesh from Ogilvy and Dalveer Singh from Dialogue Factory to really understand why brands should participate in an event like Kumbh Mela. Anant, what's your point of view? Why do you think brands should take part in an event like this?
Why should brands take part in any gathering of people? It's as simple as that. The moment you have a congregation of 10,000, 15,000, 20,000, it's an opportunity. This is anything between 10 and 15 crore people. So obviously they buy things, they want goods and services, and marketers have to keep an eye on such gatherings.
All right, let's hear that perspective. Let's get ready to melt with VR Rajesh and Dalveer Singh.
Dalveer, Rajesh, Thank you for talking to us.
Thank you.
Hi, Anant.
So tell me, why is it so important for brands to be active at Kumbh?
I think it's a marketeer's dream. Where would you find 12% of the population of the country coming together at one place, all with one mindset? And that too over a period of 6-7 weeks.
Right.
And it's such a huge opportunity to meet, do sampling, selling, communication with these 150 million consumers.
So Rajesh, a lot of your brands, your Ogilvy brands are active during the Kumbh festival, the entire festival period.
Yeah.
Why do you think they need to be at Kumbh? Why could they not avoid this altogether?
For years, every brand wants to capitalize on these kind of gatherings which is there, right? Because you can easily get reached to a large amount of people. We are talking about around 15 crore people coming to a 35 square kilometer area and being there for 49 days. It's a very captive audience, tight captive audience. But we also felt that brands for a long time have been doing lip service, right? It's an opportunity to do much more than just do sampling and just do kind of plain advertising. So most of the brands are doing a lot of purposeful advertising, right? Corporates are doing purposeful advertising. These kind of congregations are a great space where brands and corporates can make real difference to the people who are coming there, right? You make a connection with the consumer there, okay? It's not so much about consumerism, but it's about making connections with the people, okay? Also, we claim to be advertisers and marketers, okay? A lot of us don't really kind of touch base with that kind of an audience at a regular level. These places are actually a knowledge center for marketers and advertisers to understand the TG that we are talking to, right?
Right.
Okay.
Dalveer, he says it well, you know, because for you, you live Kumbh or no Kumbh, you're doing rural activation, rural marketing,
Absolutely.
365 days a year. What all could marketers learn from Kumbh, which they can apply again to, you know, village gatherings or other festivals and so on? Any gathering of large people.
Right.
I mean, you might not get this 15 crores ever again for another 6 years, but you'll certainly get 1 crore, 2 crores and so on. What are the principles that you can gain from this?
I think the basic principles are, if you look at melas, it's basically a melas which are part of our culture.
Right.
And they happen soon after the harvest when the low-income consumer has money in hands.
Right.
And it's also a time when the family is together. And melas are the only place where you will see the entire family going there together. Yeah?
Right.
So you apply the same principles. And what Rajesh said is, and I believe in kar bhala to ho bhala, ant bhale ka bhala. So if that's the mindset.
No, please tell me that in English.
Doing good is good for business.
Right.
Yeah. So you can live the brand purpose through these large gatherings. I'll give you the mindset of a consumer. When you go to such large gatherings, what is the one big fear? And we've seen it in Hindi movies. Yeah. The fear of getting lost.
Right.
You know. So if I take care of those needs of the consumer, then that visit to the Kumbh becomes more memorable.
Right.
So which means, can I, through technology or through a purpose-led activity, can I touch these guys to make that experience more memorable, make their belongings safe, make them safe.
Right.
Yeah. Let's take a Kumbh example. What is my basic objective? My basic objective, the moment I start planning my Kumbh journey, is the holy dip.
Right.
So my entire focus is how well can I reach, how fast can I reach, and I can take that dip.
Right.
Yeah. So when I go to take the dip, who takes care of my belongings?
Right.
Yeah. Today we got mobile phones, we got currency notes. How do I then take care of that? Which means you need waterproofing there.
Right.
The season when the Kumbh happens is in the middle of winters. And taking a dip in the holy river in the middle of the winter, you feel so cold. So you need to then make that experience by, say, providing heated changing rooms.
Right.
Yeah. These are just a few examples of how brands can live the purpose of making this Kumbh journey or the Mela journey for people memorable.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. You know, Rajesh, so tell me, what are the brands that have got it right in how they're communicating there?
When we went there 4 months back,
right.
Okay, and met the people who were the mainstay of organizing the Kumbh, right? And those are the people who can give you the best insights on what you want, what they want from corporates, right? So there are 4 big institutions which run this whole thing, right? So there's the government, then there are pandas, okay, who do all the prayers, okay. Then there are nishads, which is the boating community, because the Sangam has to be approached by boats. And then there is the akhadas, the 13 akhadas, which are the religious congregations. We met all these people. They are people who are in charge of running that whole thing. And they all came back to us and said the same thing, right? In the journey to the Kumbh, how can you make the experience better for the person who's coming there?
Right.
Now, so for example, we know that it's a 32 square kilometer area. During the main Snan days, no vehicular traffic is allowed inside, right? Now, how do you think old people, okay, now these old people are coming, anyways, they're not really, they're not coming by cars, right? They're walking inside. Now, to reach the main area for bathing is a 10, 5, 16 kilometer walk, depending on where you are in the city, right? So like Bajaj on Platina, we created Aram Raths, okay, for old people who can take that Rath and go to the bathing area. So you're just making their experience a little more comfortable, right? So for example, when we spoke to the government, they highlighted 3-4 big areas, like sanitation was one area, health, public health was one area, okay, women's safety was one area. So Hammam took on the women's safety platform, which anyways as a brand they own.
Right.
So we are creating safe bath experience for women, for Hammam, right? On Unilever, because environment was a big concern for the government there, we created an initiative called Tea for Trash for Brook Bond, where people have to put a handful of trash and they get free cup of tea. And on the boats, we have kind of fixed nets which are skimming the water for all the garbage which is being thrown in the water. So basically, brands which kind of find real purpose will be effective. And the other thing that happens is you anyways get a lot of support from the people who are organizing. They come and talk to media about you, they come and kind of say good things about the brand. So in that sense, associations are built, okay. And you touch the consumer's heart. Like he was saying, you're connecting with the consumer at a very heart level rather than the mind level.
Right. So tell me, how will you measure ROI in something like this? You know, on TV we have our GRP, FRP and so on and so forth. How do I measure whether my investment is worked, not worked? Because finally, everybody is in it for money.
So what you normally do is, one is you look at the biggest advantage, as I said, and I'll again repeat, 150 million people.
Right.
Yeah? Where would you get an opportunity like this?
Right.
Right. And if you have great ideas get a lot of word of mouth.
Right.
And they reach all these villages.
Right.
So if I have seen something...
Have you tracked that ever? Have you tracked it? Do we know that, or you're presuming that?
So I'll tell you my experience. I've been going to Kumbh now since 1998.
Right.
The first time when I went, what all needs to be done, what all you can do, we started that. And then I started talking to consumers in the subsequent Kumbh, saying, what was the big thing that stood out?
The last time
when you came here, or in the last Mela that you came here. So we did the first Haridwar Kumbh in 98, and that's when we started talking to consumer. And they mentioned then, two of these consumers who were talking to, they mentioned very unique things, saying there was a huge LML scooter, a huge cutout of LML scooter, which he remembered.
Right.
And he played it back. So at all these places, a great idea will have word of mouth, which will then reach out to the entire Hindi-speaking belt,
right.
Because 85% of the consumers are coming from there. So you need to have great ideas which have word of mouth around that, or these ideas which Rajesh just spoke about. These are the ideas which will touch their hearts.
So Rajesh, how difficult is it to convince brands to get involved in?
Not very difficult.
Yeah.
And brands want to invest.
Right.
It's how much they want to invest.
Right.
Okay. To answer your earlier questions, I don't think the brands are really investing too much.
Right.
Okay. I think for the kind of reach and for the kind of benefit you can draw as a brand, the investment is pretty low. But they want to invest, right? So the good thing is today brands are more eager to put money on something which is more useful as an idea, right? They are investing on an idea rather than just doing simple billboards and hoardings. So in that sense, yes, there is progress. The other thing is I feel this is just a start.
Right.
There are many more human congregations which are happening, large scale congregations are happening across India, right? And which Dalveer was talking about Melas. I think it's something which we need to explore and start investing in. Okay?
Right.
It's not only connecting with the consumer, but the amount of good that it generates from a word of mouth perspective is huge. Right. From a very business point of view, there's a huge amount of publicity which is kind of getting generated, okay, on its own.
Right.
So you're not really paying for it, but videos are getting circulated and all those unpaid.
Sure.
This is an opportunity which is waiting to explode, and we just have to kind of invest in it.
Perfect. Thank you, Dalveer. Thank you, Rajesh.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's a wrap on this episode of Melt. You can also watch all our content on our social media platforms. Our handle is Ready to Melt, and I'll see you next week, same time, same place. Goodbye.